Welcome, everybody, to Divine Mother Earth Time. I am your co-host, Marisa Acachella.
And I am your other co-host, Laura Eisenhower. Welcome, everybody, to Divine Mother Earth Time. We are joined today by our very, very good friend, Dr. Sharnael Wolverton-Sehon. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, sorry, my dog is barking for some reason. How are you? I'm so glad to be here.
Oh, gosh, we've been looking forward to this. What an exciting day. Your book has been released. And I'm so thrilled to talk about this today. I'm honored that I got to write the foreword to it. But I'm going to share her bio before we dive into everything about this book. So, Dr. Sharnael is the author of The Science of Miracles and her new book that just came out today, Grandfather Iboga, a deeply personal and transformative book exploring the sacred medicine of Iboga, ancestral healing, spiritual awakening, and the profound journey of inner transformation. Through lived experience, reflection, and reverence for the medicine, this book offers readers an intimate window into the healing path and the wisdom that can emerge when we are willing to face ourselves fully. So, and it's so much more than it being about the medicine, which is the thing, because it's a doorway into like really, deep healing. So I want to just ask you, what was happening in your life that led you to the decision to begin to work with Iboga? And did you feel called to the medicine before fully understanding what the journey would ask of you?
Yeah, really good question. And I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't know that people could be called to like a medicine. I've been studying plants for like 20 years and I've been working with essential oils and herbs and, a lot of different things that are natural, as a naturopathic doctor. But during um during the time that led me to this, I was having a lot of things going on like we all do, and I feel like maybe my body just wasn't catching up. I had 6 deaths in my family in a 2 week period, and then right after that, I actually my mentor passed around that time of 10 years, and also my dog, which people can say whatever about the dog, but you and I both share different things on that. I mean, this dog had clocked in more time with me than probably my husband and my kids because she's with me all the time nonstop, travels with me, sleeps with me. She'd been through sickness and divorce, and she's been my person, and so that was kind of rough. But yeah, I got to a point where I wasn't doing well. I was coping all the wrong ways. I was feeling like I started isolating more and more because I was so down and had so much grief, and it was so heavy that it was tough to pretend anymore, on how I was feeling. And yeah, someone sent me this Joe Rogan link out of nowhere. I literally had shut my practice down, and I had had this conversation with a friend, and I was like, "What am I going to do? I don't know what I'm going to do for money. I don't know what to do for life. I don't want to do about myself." And then she sends me this link, and I thought that she meant like I was going to start doing this as a job. Like this is going to, I'm going to be a facilitator of some kind or something or move to Mexico. And so I was like, "Oh, you think I'm going to, move to Mexico and do this?" And she was like, "I don't know. I just felt divinely led." She's like, "Did you watch it?" And I was like, "No, it's 3 hours long, and she's like, "Just watch it." And so I was like, "Okay, I'll watch it." And as I'm watching it, I realize, oh, she's sending me this because she thinks I need to do this. And I thought that's hilarious because that isn't something that I was on my top 100 things to do. Plus, I didn't know about Iboga. I didn't know what it was. That's not, I've heard of ayahuasca and things like that, but I didn't, this is new to me. And yeah, next thing you know, I'm talking to someone about going. And I chickened out and I was like, no, because the guy literally told me this is going to be the hardest thing that you've ever done in your whole life. And that gave me pause. And I told him, if it's going to be hard like that, I probably should not sign up for it
Okay,
because,
Charnel, I have to ask you
yeah,
because there are some people who don't know what Iboga is. So, what is it?
that's a good question. And I love that we match. We're having the same
I
color shirt.
know we're in sync.
The same
Laura had a purple
hair and
scarf.
yeah. Iboga is a root from a tree, that a very, very old tree. That's why it's called the grandfather. It's part of the reason why it's called grandfather. And it's found in mostly Gabon, Africa. And they have been using it over there for centuries, for a lot of different things. They initially started using it for hunting because it does help with like eyesight and being able to see in the dark a bit. And
Mhm.
it's a bit of a stimulant. It can be. So they would take it so they can hunt at night. And but they're using it for a lot of things now. They basically, all of the Bwiti people, at their 12-year-old birthday, are initiated by doing a full flood dose, which is a big dose, into adulthood. Like, that's their initiation into adulthood. And then they eat it on their food every day. The moms, are that
What
are
is it? But what is it exactly if they're eating it on their food? Like, what
it's
does it
it's
look like? Is it a mushroom? What is it?
it's a root bark.
Oh,
It's
it's a
the
root bark?
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
Okay.
So they just eat the wood. They call it holy wood or wood.
Okay.
And you could, there's different ways that they use it. The most common thing that you may hear about is Ibogaine, which is a pharmaceutical made from the wood. It's a
Mhm.
white powder. It's not the same thing as the wood, um, which is a Schedule 1 here in America and a lot of countries, which that's a whole nother topic. But yeah, the moms breastfeed, eating it. They sprinkle it on their food. They just shave it up and sprinkle it on their food. It's very common over there. But now they're seeing that it does all these other things, and there's some ways that they talk about those other things, and then there's a lot of marketing that doesn't talk about any of the things that it does. So it's quite interesting. It's the most fascinating plant that I have found to date in my 20 years of researching on 56 different countries, different planets. I mean, different planets. That too, probably. Different countries, different plants. It's the most diverse and the most fascinating plant I've ever found so far.
So what was the experience like? Like what take us into this journey?
Well, we talked about that on another video, and that takes a minute, so I won't go way into it. But let's just say it's the most direct. Um, if you hear about people who do this, it's not just me, but it's very common for people to get direct instructions about what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing. It's very, very, and or it writes it on the board for you. It's very common to have what they call a life review, which I knew about that from NDEs, but I wasn't prepared to know that this was common with this plant. And that's what happened to me. I had a full on life review. Like, I saw literally from born to now. I'm gonna cry. My dad walking me, teaching me to walk, ride a bike, like
Wow. So
swing.
you had all those images and you recalled all those memories?
So what happens with the medicine is, so we have this thing in our brain called reticular activating system, and it's
Hmm.
it's a filtering system. So we don't see everything all at once and experience time all at once.
Hmm.
It filters. It just filters. And what happens during this time of using this plant medicine, it shuts down the reticular activating system.
Hmm.
And so it keeps that gate wide open, and you literally have access to every single memory, and there's no time. So you're feeling and seeing and hearing everything all at once, just like the movie, everything all at once.
Hmm. So what was the most impactful thing that you gleaned from it, that you learned from it? I mean, that must be pretty overwhelming to have all those memories flood at the same time.
Um, so one thing is, like, when I first went in, or dropped in, they call it. I
Mhm.
saw myself inside of this ball, and or it felt like I was in the middle of the earth or something, and I could see all of these moving movies, like in almost like in a wall, but but they were from far away. And
Hmm.
if I would focus on any one of them, it would come up close to me in a big screen TV and show
Hmm.
me that memory. And,
Wow.
and then it would go back in the wall and it would just do this zoom in, zoom out, zoom in, zoom out. And right before I realized that these are all memories, I screamed to the top of my lungs from like every cell in my body, please just show me love. I have to know love. And it was completely involuntary.
Hmm.
I did not plan that. I didn't even know that that was what I was going to think about. I had no, it was, must have been very deep subconscious stuff. And what's crazy is the guy who was with me, the people who were there, they said I never peeped a word. Like they didn't hear me say it. So it was all like on the inner. And I felt like I screamed it. I was like, oh my God, this is so loud.
Hmm.
Um, but that's when the movies kept coming in. And it was like seeing my parents hold hands and dancing in the kitchen and like sitting in the back seat of my car and my parents holding hands in the front seat, or my dad teaching me stuff, my mom teaching me stuff like that. And I realized, I've been seeing love. Like I grew up with it, and for whatever reason I didn't remember a lot of that.
Hmm.
um I also saw my husband, my now husband, and we were 17 years old, and we were at the Sadie Hawkins dance, which really happened. And we were like just dancing to a Phil Collins song. And I could see like the way he's looking at me, the way I'm looking at him. And we're just very intimate moment and just different stuff with him. And then it jumped to like me with my kids and some really intimate times with my kids. And at one point, one of them was with a daughter that have not seen or heard from in 3 years.
Wow.
And I was sitting on the couch holding her in my arms. And at the time in real life, I had an epidural that they missed. And so I was paralyzed from the waist down in real life during that time. And I was holding her in the middle of the night and a lot of agony going on physically. But I remember I didn't care about any of it. I was just holding her. I was looking at her little eyelashes and her little tiny fingers, and I could care less if I wasn't walking, or it was just I was in this bubble of like, oh my God, I can't believe I can be your mom and I love you so much. And I realized like this is love too. Even though she's not speaking to me, and even though I don't know why, and even though it's super painful, like I got to experience that for whatever reason of getting to be her mom, for the time I had her. And I realized, I know it sounds so simple, but I was like, this is love too. And just seeing my love for her.
So
Sorry.
it's interesting that the most impactful moments of our lives are the ones where we've experienced love. It's not like, you win a prize or, you know, you achieve something at work. It's the moments of love that clearly have the most impact from what you're telling us. And reminds
Yeah.
me that.
Yeah. And then it got like really, really direct. Like I said, I saw this word courage really big, and I heard a voice. I can only say God, source, whoever, and it said courage. And when it did, it spelled out in front of me. And I was like, okay, courage. And then it said it wished away like the wind blew it. And then it said have the courage to love, period. And I
Mm,
was like, okay. And then that swished away and then it said yourself. And I was like,
mm,
wow. And then I saw the word will,
mhm,
and it wished away and then it said have the will to love. And I was like, okay. And then it swished away and said yourself. And I was like, oh God, okay. And then it said will again, and it said, and then it was swished away and it said have the will to be. And I was like, okay, present, not in the future, not in the past, just be. And then that switched away. And I thought it was going to say yourself, but it came back and it said joy, really big, just joy. And I was like, oh my God, like I don't even know if I've ever felt joy or how that even, like what. And then all of a sudden I felt like my body crack and like open up. And it was like I was one with everything. And I knew I could feel love for the first time. And I don't know how long. And I remember thinking, oh my God, like it's here. It's been here this whole time. Like here it is. And then I heard love, love and joy are interchangeable. Love is joy and joy is love. And there's no separation. And I was like, that means even when you love someone so bad it hurts, there's got to be joy in there somewhere. Like, I don't know how, but so yeah, those are the things that stuck out to me the most. And the next like 120 days after that, you have to understand with this medicine, it changes your brain for 120 days straight. It has this neuroplasticity window for 120 days after, and you're constantly just having your brain literally change.
And what kind of experience do others have? Is it the same for everybody? I mean, like how does one know if this is right for them?
um, so that's tricky because I went in there for grief and depression, and a lot of people do, but it's amazing for people with addictions. It's amazing for people with Parkinson's, for MS, for autoimmune, for Lyme, for TBI. They've scanned people before and after with TBI or Alzheimer's or um, dementia kind of stuff, and their brain is healing. TBI is gone. The governor of Texas, the former governor of Texas, he had his done before and after. I had mine done after. He had his done 90 days after he did the treatment. And he had some parts of his brain that were showing like caution, like some concern and regarding memory and things like that. And it was when the neuroscience looked at it after, he said, your brain, all of that is healed and your brain looks like a 40-year-old. Like he's 76. And they told him, I don't know what you did, but your brain looks like a 40-year-old.
Jeez.
Wow.
So who is it for? It's for anyone who needs healing and like emotional stuff and physical stuff. I think there's a lot of emphasis and a lot of marketing towards Ibogaine again, which is pharmaceutical, and also towards vets and or people with TBI or with addictions. But I haven't seen a whole lot of people talking about how it works. It's antifungal, antiviral, antiparasitic, antihistamine, anti-pain. It does all these other things which can make a new human after 90 days or whatever anyway, which because a lot of reasons why we have symptoms are because of those things. And if that all goes away, but I've also had some really strange people that I interviewed for the book, not strange people, but strange situations where like a lady had an eye disease and it was healed. My left shoulder was frozen for 6 years and it came unfrozen after.
Wow.
So, and there's tons of stuff in the book that where people had these like very nonlinear things happen, even energetically where like their daughter called out of nowhere. Like my daughter called me out of nowhere. She like texted, she sent me a heart. It's the first time I've heard from her in 3 years.
That's really tremendous. I mean, and somebody's guiding you this whole time? Are your eyes closed? I mean, how does this all work?
Yeah, there's guides, there's people, to support. So you're not just by yourself. It's not something you want to do by yourself. It is not, there are risks, especially with Ibogaine a bit more. Um, but yeah, and what's different about this, I'm told, compared to other psychedelics is when you open your eyes, you're here. Like you, there is a thing where you have a bit of like not being able to walk around and get around kind of stuff, but you can open your eyes and it turns off. But if
So
you
where did
close,
mhm.
what's that?
I'm sorry. Where did you do it? I mean, what was the
I did it in December last year,
where though? Did you say?
overseas.
Overseas. Okay. So there was somebody who guided like okay.
There's all kinds of centers out there
Okay.
now. I mean, there have been for years actually.
Mhm. Okay. So I was just wondering what the exact process was.
Yeah, and it's pretty crazy.
Hmm.
They're pretty booked now because there was a documentary that came out um, in November, I think, that's called In Waves to War, that
Hmm.
has a big focus on these 30 guys who went to Mexico to do this Ibogaine thing. They're all vets, in the military who had major trauma, major from multiple deployments, and how it showed their journey, and that kind of like really, that between that and the Joe Rogan thing, I think that really put all of this on the map. And so there's places popped up all over, and that's kind of scary too because it's a bit of the Wild West out there. And if people are interested in going somewhere, please contact me. I could tell you the ones that aren't good and that are good, because I did 800 interviews for this book, and unfortunately I would say 40% of the interviews were people who went somewhere and it was horrific, where whether it was a facilitator situation where somebody was abused or neglected or not cared for, or the facility was so bad that, like, or people were thrown out on the street. They wanted more money after they got there and they wouldn't pay them, or they didn't have the money and they just kicked them out. Um, and worse and even worse, so that broke my heart to hear that. Here's someone, struggling, trying to get healing, going somewhere thinking they're going to, pay all this money and get a resolution and have some hope. And then someone takes advantage of them. And it's like, it's terrible.
Devastating, gosh. And like you said, I mean, you were guided, and others, I'm sure, are guided, but then you have to have the discernment. You have to make sure it's vetted. And so, how have you been feeling, since is this something you revisit, or is there microdosing? Like, how do you maintain the flow of working this energy, or does the neuroplasticity stay intact and you can just carry forth in the rest of your life?
Yeah, the difference between this and pharmaceuticals is, as we know, with pharmaceuticals, you have to keep taking it. If you get off, you have withdrawals. And if you are taking it, then, you're good. With a flood dose, you have that window of 90 to 120 days where they call it neuroibogaine converts in the liver. The Iboga converts to neuroibogaine, and it just keeps this flow within your body to keep changing. It releases in your brain something called BDNF and GDNF, and we all have that when we're 2 and 1 and born. We have the highest level of BDNF and GDNF ever in our brain, and but the older that we get, the less and the less and the less we have. And the BDNF and the GDNF is what helps us form like the pathways to program our brain. So here we are in adult, and here we probably have, I don't know how many highways. Like if you picture like LA and you could see it from a button, you see all these highways. What happens is, like, if there's an earthquake or a problem with the road, they don't just, destroy the highway and start over. They just patch on top. And that's the way our brain works too, is we'll have so many things entrenched. There's just patching. It's like we run into the same situation and there's another layer. Oh shit, that happened again. And that happened again. So it gets to where there's like just these layers of either good or bad programming that just keep going. And with every choice, it gets thicker and harder. And then we have less BDNF and GDNF to change our mind. And so when we have that again and we get a do over, It's like that whole highway system gets saturated, and all of these roads are very, very pliable and movable. And some of them even break off and start new paths. So they can you during the neuroplasticity, you can have what they call maladaptive neuroplasticity. So if you go back to your old environment and you're doing the same things you were, you can actually just hardwire that all over again, which is not good. So it's really important during that like 90 to 120 days that you are doing things to be really conscious about like what you're watching on TV, who you're hanging out with, like what are you eating, what are you drinking, what was it that you were trying to change, and having some people that you can work with to integrate what happened, what you saw, and how to make that be in this new life. So we are hardwiring what you choose and not what you were trying to get away from. I had a guy who went for like some opiate addiction, which a lot of these places won't take you for addictions anymore because it is high risk of, but most of the places will only take you once you've detoxed. But he happened to go somewhere. He detoxed first. They flooded him, and he called me day 50 after he got home, and he was just like, "Hey, can I talk to you? Can I set up an appointment?" We got an appointment, and turned out he was drinking. And he said, he said he thought he was an alcoholic. And I was like, "Well, is that why you went in the first place?" And he said, "No." He said, "On day 40, I went to a wedding and I got drunk at this wedding. And like now that's all I can think about is alcohol." And so he had hardwired it during that time. I'm like, "Did they not tell you not to do that? Like, you have to be really careful not to pick up like new bad things because that can like hold on, and then you have a problem."
Wow, that's interesting. I guess it's also another lesson to be conscious of what you do and what you take into your system. But I
Yeah.
guess what you're saying, it's more heightened when you do that.
Yeah, just what you're listening to, what TV shows. Like I have found, like, I don't want to scroll. I don't care about politics. Like, I'm just like, my mindset has changed to like the things that are important to me now are different than they were before completely, which is kind of bizarre. Like
Mhm.
I haven't had any alcohol at all since that day. It's been 6 months to the day.
Wow.
I haven't even had coffee. I did not go in there to not drink alcohol. I did not go in there to not drink, coffee. But
Hmm.
I can't drink either of those things now. Like, I literally, that was one of the things that showed me is stop drinking. Like, no more drinking, even to play around, no drinking, no casual, like zero. And I was like, okay, like it was for 4 hours told me don't drink for
Wow.
whatever reason. Um, but the other thing that I keep hearing, because I do want to bring this up, with Iboga, it's the natural plant. With Ibogaine, it's the pharmaceutical. I've mentioned that a couple times.
Hmm.
Ibogaine can come from the root that we've been talking about, or it can also come from another plant called the Voa conga plant. Now, a Voa conga plant, there's a lot more of them. You can find them more readily out there. It's cheaper. They're not as old. So the alkaloids in the plant are not as powerful to do the work, the deep, deep work. They call it grandfather because it's old. They also call it grandfather because it has that neuroplasticity opportunity. They also call it the Mount Everest of psychedelics, or the grandfather of psychedelics, because it's a 36-hour deal. Like, it's not like a short thing. It's like an Olympic psychedelic situation. Um, but if people get the Ibogaine, you have to just make sure that they don't get it from the Conga plant, because the Conga plant does. I have talked to people, unfortunately, who spend all the money. They go for $20,000 or whatever, plus flying to get down there, and they do it, and it doesn't work. They come
Wow.
back, they're drinking it on the way home, or they're, having their trauma, or they still have their TBI because this plant isn't as powerful. And I think maybe a lot of these places started out using Iboga, but because it's gotten so crazy, they're trying to like cut some corners on different things and to make it on the cheaper side. and maybe it's getting harder to source Iboga, so they're just getting what they can and making Ibogaine from that. And it's unfortunate because people, again, are really looking for hope, really thinking, wow, this could be something that helps me. And then they come home and, their husband or their wife's calling me, or their mom and their dad, and they're like, he's on the street again. He's right back to using. He's, in his bed and won't get out of bed. He's depressed. Like, it didn't work. I just got off the phone right before I got on with you guys to a lady, and she was like, it didn't work for me. Like, she was like, I just sat there and nothing happened. And I was like, I don't know what they used, but be careful with that.
Wow. So, Sharnael, so it was a 36-hour experience, and were you up the whole time?
You're awake 36 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, the actual seeing things
Mm-hmm.
and experiencing things was probably about 12. And then they took me back to my private room, and then you're just in there kind of trying to process.
Mm-hmm.
And you wish you could go to sleep, but you just can't. It does keep you awake. And I was up. I didn't really sleep until Wednesday night, and I went in on Monday night. So it was like
Wow.
48 hours for me.
Wow.
Do you feel like you're being held, or do you feel like you're purging and it's kind of uncomfortable? Or do you feel like arms around you, that kind of soft feeling?
I did purge, and it's very common to purge, but I didn't purge for a long time. It was just like once the purge was over, it was like, okay, now I could just concentrate on what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing and what's being shown to me. And I did feel very held. I mean, I felt like crap. They call it a gray day after. Um, After that first 24 hours, you kind of feel like you just had like a flu or something. Some people can run temperature. You're just like, it's a lot for your brain to just like be flooded with this stuff and reset. And again, it's also anti-parasitic, antifungal, what am I missing? Bacterial. So who knows what was going on that had to be fixed. I literally felt like my brain was growing. I remember saying that. I was like, I feel like my brain is growing. Like, but after that gray day, you kind of just have this really like in bed day. And then after that, you kind of start feeling on the up, which with Iboga, you usually feel on the up after like the second day. With Ibogaine, I'm told that you kind of have it down. And so a lot of these centers are doing like 5-MeO or a Bufo or whatever to bring people back on the up so they could get on a plane and go home, because there's they, first of all, they want to switch the beds out, and they're like, next, and they want their money. Not everybody, but I'm just saying it's kind of turned into that a little bit. Drive through, like a drive through deal. But with Iboga, you don't really need that. But you have 40 alkaloids with Iboga, and they're all just continuing to work for that 120 days. You don't really want to put anything else on top of that. You're pretty good, and you leave on an up. Um, with Ibogaine is actually in Iboga. So Ibogaine is the extract that's pulled, one of the alkaloids that's pulled from Iboga. So you get that already in Iboga. You get Ibogaine, but they're extracting it, and that's what Trump signed April 18th. They just signed an executive order to do funds to do more research on Ibogaine, not Iboga, and it's all the FDA, doing whatever. They're supposed to be rescheduling it. I hope that's what they said that day, and doing all this research to fast track it, to help, people in America that need it. I mean, I can't even imagine if every 12-year-old did this in America. I think we would have a different America for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure it deprograms, and just on top of all that, just like, because I mean, that's basically what you're describing, that, gosh. So you don't have that crash that some people feel when they have that up. It's not like, oh, and then get really depressed because you have to re-enter things in the whatever this weird world is, Matrix. Kind of gets old saying that, but I don't want to say reality. Um,
Mhm.
I mean, take us through this book. So what are people going to experience as they read it from chapter to chapter? Just
Yeah, I tried to find everything I could get my hands on to learn more about it after. I didn't want to do anything on the front end for whatever reason. I just felt like I want to go in kind of cold and just follow because I was led and not have like this expectation necessarily that this is how it's going to be kind of deal. But I did have a little bit of research. I did watch, I did read a little bit, but there were a couple books out there, but they were more about the stories and the testimonies, and that was good. But I didn't see anything past like really like TBI and which traumatic brain issues or or opiates or depression. And I was like, there's got to be something out there that talks about all these other things, that no one's really talking about. And so I came home, and part of the medicine told me, do not be afraid to tell the world about your experience. And I was like, holy shit. Like, cause I wasn't going to tell anybody I went. Like, I didn't tell anyone I went, and I wasn't planning on telling anyone when I came home. Like, I was just going to do this on the DL and work with myself. And everybody doesn't have to know everything about me, so I told like two people that I went. And when I came home, I couldn't shut up about it. Like, it was like, this is insane. How do we not know about this? How is not everybody doing this? Like, because there's been so many major change. Like, my daughter has sat down with me two times, once at Easter and once on Father's Day, and said, I don't know what's going on with you, but you're so calm. Like, the first time she sat down with me, she's like, I don't know if you're like secretly mad at me and you're just being passive aggressive, or if you're disappointed in me. Like, but I'm telling you all these major things going on and you're just so quiet. And I was like, I'm being present. I'm just listening. My brain is slowing down enough to be with you and hear you. And also, it's not my life, it's your life. And you need to do you. And I'm just here to support whatever decisions you make. And she's like, it's just you're just so calm.
Mhm. Wow. So how did it affect your relationships though, like before and after? Like, can you take us through that
Yeah,
a
I
little
mean,
bit?
my biggest thing I think is like my family for sure has just been like you just seem so different, and my friends are just like you're not, Father's Day, my daughter was like, um, sat me down again and was just like, she's actually moving closer to me. She's moving just really like walking distance from me. She's like, I'm just telling you, I wouldn't have been able to do that before Iboga. She's like,
Wow.
you're just so like chill and you're just different. Like, your whole essence is different. And she said, I feel like your anxiety is down and I don't have all the doom and gloom thoughts at night. Like, I don't have to use anything to go to sleep. I used to have to always take something to sleep and something to wake up. I don't need any kind of thing. I just get up early in the morning, whether I want to or not. I'm up and I'm ready and I'm happy. I go to sleep without any medication. I was taking like Imupro or melatonin or, drinking 2 or 3 glasses of wine or whatever, just to try turn off the chatter. Like, all the
Mhm.
chatter is like, and like thinking worst case scenarios and like all of that is just like over. It's crazy. So that affects relationships because I don't have any expectation on relationships anymore. And if people do stuff, I'm just like, whatever, that's on you. I don't take it personal when someone comments like something really mean. Used to, I could literally think about that 4 months later and be up at night going like, maybe I should call them or we should have a talk or let me explain this. And it's like, there's no F's to give about this stuff. Like, they should call it unbothered. I think they should
Mhm.
just call it the unbothered drug or it's not a drug, the unbothered plant. If you just want to be unbothered by things that used to bother you, this is the thing to do.
Wow. Okay. It's interesting. So it kind of regulates your nervous system. It's, would you say that?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, that's something a lot of people need.
Yeah, and it balances out
Mhm.
hormones too.
Mhm.
So like those cortisol spikes, when
Mhm.
everything is like when you're not in fight or flight, it heals the amygdala, which
Uh-huh.
is all that reactive fight or flight stuff. That's all healed. Like
Hmm.
it changes your brain.
Wow. Hmm.
So where from here? You've been doing panels, you've been going to conferences, you've been talking about this. Where do you see your life path shift? You've been a public speaker for a long time. I know this has helped you personally, but what shift is this doing for you professionally as well?
Yeah, the medicine, I spoke at a conference in February on the book, The Science of Miracles. And of course, I get sandwiched in between, like when my book signing, I'm sandwiched in between two centers that serve Iboga. And I was like, here I went from, I don't know anything about this and I don't know anybody who's ever done it to like the medicine just keeps bringing me these people. And or God, whoever, something's happening. And the day that I met the girl who was sitting next to us, she was like, "Oh, you got to go meet this guy." And he introduced me to the guy. The guy's like, "What are you doing Monday?" And here I was speaking three times for my event, at this event for the Science of Miracles. And he had me on a plant symposium Monday for 4 hours. And I was like, I could have made that up, like just last minute. Hey, you want to do this thing? And then he's invited me to two other conferences to speak since then. So I'm meeting a lot of new people that are in this field, working with some centers. So I'm doing a lot of integration work with people, preparation work before and after, and mainly I think just helping people understand um, the medicine a bit, being an educator and advocate and helping people find a safe place because there are some places that are absolutely not safe. And so I'll do like 20-minute free consultations with people and just be like, hey, let's talk. Let me see if you're even qualified. Let's do a medical screening, and let's try to find who's open and where we can get you in and try to help people guide them into the next steps to do that.
Brilliant. That's so wonderful and helpful because that's a life-changing experience, and if it needs to be done right and to have that guidance is huge. And to put out this book, I mean, my gosh, you're just like right on it. And this is the thing with you. You go through something, it benefits you and it becomes a blessing for all. So, so much gratitude for your process and how you bless humanity and all the hard work that you've always done for the betterment of humanity in this earth.
Thank you. Love you. You guys do the same thing for me. I love you. I'm so inspired by you guys all the time. And I'm glad that we get to do life together.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
oh,
you guys have a conference or a retreat coming up, right? When is that?
Yeah, we actually have a conference and a retreat. We have one in Sedona, um, the second week of August, and we're going to be there with Lily Nova, which is fun. And that's going to be awesome. That's the first time that we're doing this in Sedona, and I love Sedona. I mean, who could not love Sedona? And then in October, Laura and I are doing our third time retreat there, right on the beach in Destin. I wish you could be there with us. I know you can't come, but Laura, you want to talk about the Destin one?
yeah, Dustin's amazing. Beautiful, beautiful beach, incredible lodging to hold space for all of us women coming together and working with really powerful tools and modalities, healing tools and modalities, ozone therapy, raindrop therapy. Um, Oh gosh, I'm going to do astrology. We in the evenings do a lecture, both of us. Um, and you've pulled together all these healers. So tell us more about the different practitioners that are coming. I want to make sure I'm not naming ones that might not be coming this year, and there might be new ones coming. So, but yeah, just to wrap up my part, um, the bonds that are created, the connections that are made, are truly life lasting. And we get to do what we want during the day and explore all these different tools and modalities. And then at night, we get together, we do these lectures, and it's very interactive. And yeah, it's just something that I look forward to so deeply because it recharges you. Literally, if you're feeling burnout, if you feel like you just give, 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 and you don't know how to receive, this is a space to be held for that, and to release all that doesn't, serve one in a really comfortable and supportive environment. But yeah, any other tools and modalities that you want to mention, and anything else that I didn't say? Or
Ozone and PEMF, and we have, what was your friend? I think Lisa is going to be there. She's doing some sort of harmonic something. I'm trying to remember the name of it. It's new to me, so there's a lot. There's a lot, and you can do that as add-ons, or you could just sit on the beach and get the theta waves and see all the dolphins and like sleep in, or it's whatever anybody wants to do. That's what's so cool about it, is it's just for you.
yeah, and community is everything right now, and I think a lot of people feel very isolated, or just they can't really talk to anybody. People don't understand them or get them, and I remember, I think we all have in common what that was like kind of growing up. It's and still to this day, maybe certain family members or friends that you used to have or still are trying to maintain. Um, yeah, might be hard to feel a sense of community. And that's what's important. It's not just a retreat. It's something that lasts beyond us getting together. So highly recommend that. And anything else you have coming up you want to share before we go, or anything else that you've wanted to share that we might not have asked you?
No, you guys can get the book on Amazon, and you can get it on my website now. And if anyone is interested in learning more about if you are a candidate or where you can go, you can always reach out and set something up. I do have a private Facebook group as well. I post like all kinds of educational things. It's the Iboga Facebook group if you're on Facebook, and there's Q&As. We do webinars, things like that, and just trying to get people educated and understand a little bit how you can be helped. So, because here's the thing, trauma and or whatever health stuff does not have to be a life sentence. And I think we have all put up with a lot of stuff, and it's not just for vets. It's not just for someone who's been in combat. I get calls sometimes where people have been 20 years in the military and they're calling me saying, "Well, I don't think I qualify because I never saw combat." And I'm like, "Dude, I got like moms who've been in combat who are not in war. There's people who are living war every day that are dealing with things you would never believe just looking at them on the outside, and they start telling you what they've been through, and it's like, are you kidding me? And so there's a different kind of war, and most of those people live it very silently. Not that the vets are loud about it, because they're not, but I think a lot of people are really having struggles, especially since COVID, of having that community, or having like just trying to get their chemistry back, or their purpose back, or you know, I don't know. And this is a way that really helps see the bigger picture, to get a different perspective. And there is so much hope for anybody watching. If you are one of those people, there's hope for you, and just reach out and we'll see what we can do to help.
Yay.
That's beautiful, Sharnael. Well, happy book birthday today.
I know.
Thank you for coming on Divine Mother Earth Time.
Yes, thank you.
Awesome. Bye, you guys.
Bye.